Thank you for joining us for our Wednesday webinar. And you picked a really good day to join us because I am going to do something a little different today. I'm going to go through some usual announcements and whatnot, but then after that I'm going to take you guys through a live demonstration of the client experience. So I think you guys will really like this. And this will be an opportunity for some of you who have not yet registered yourself as a client to see the client experience firsthand. So it's going to be a little bit different today, and hopefully you'll get quite a bit of information out of this session. So to start off with, I want to just kind of go through some of our usual announcements and beginning introductions for those who are new to NetLaw and new to the product. NetLaw is a technology company that was created by the law firm of Hargrove Madden. Hargrove Madden is an estate planning law firm. And this technology was created really for use in our private practice. I was with the private practice before we launched this technology company. The purpose of creating this was really to have a way to better serve our clients all across the country, because we had clients that were referred to us from financial advisors, and you guys have clients everywhere, not just in your local state or local city. So we were really struggling to find a way to more efficiently and effectively service those clients and to create an environment where we could communicate and collaborate in a secure and encrypted way with the advisor and the client on the planning that we were doing for that client, with really a more focus on a team approach. In 2012, the American Bar Association recognized our law firm and awarded us their James Keene Award for Excellence in E-Lawyering.
Charles.
Just hearing from Blake that I'm not showing my screen.
There you go.
Thank you, Blake. So now hopefully you can see my screen. You haven't missed anything. So in 2012, the American Bar Association recognized our law firm and awarded us their James Keene Award for Excellence in E-Lawyering, which is basically recognizing the technology that we developed and said that what we were doing at that time was the best online delivery of legal services of any law firm anywhere in the country. And so that led us to the next steps that eventually took us down the path of creating NetLaw and moving that technology into that new company. Since NetLaw is not a law firm, we are a technology company, we can now share in fees with the advisors that send clients to us. As you may know, lawyers cannot share fees with non-lawyers. So in the past, when you've had clients that had estate planning needs and you referred them to an attorney, you've never been able to share in those legal fees. Well, now you can share in this estate planning fee because it is an approved product on the Transamerica platform. This is a product that also does not require a license. There's no license required to sell this product. All you need is a WFG code, and your brand new recruits can hit the ground running and start making some money right away while they're studying for their licenses. Or for those advisors that you've recruited that have kind of fallen off the radar because they don't want to pursue that license for whatever reason, they now have a reason to come back into the fold, so to speak, and they have something that they can sell without having to go and get that life license or securities license. So a few announcements for you. I want to remind you all that starting tomorrow, we will be launching a new contest for the fourth quarter. I'm not going to divulge too much information on that today, but I will tell you that the prizes are very, very nice. They have an apple on them, so if that'll give you a little bit of a hint of what we're going to be giving away. And also I want to let you know that everybody has a chance to win a prize. This isn't a contest where you have to meet certain sales quotas to win a prize. Even if you just sell one NetLaw plan, you have the opportunity to win a prize. So look for those announcements. We'll be sending out emails about the new sales promotion tomorrow, and we will also have that on the website starting tomorrow as well as on the play card on Monday. So stay tuned for details on that. Next, I want to talk a little bit about the WFG Transamerica promotion for the Hawaii trip that the home office is doing, and remind you that you can earn points with NetLaw that can help you get to Hawaii. So when you're out there making other sales, don't forget NetLaw. It's an easy way to add on some extra points and help you get across that finish line and qualify for the Hawaii trip. And then finally, the holidays are just right around the corner. So this is a great opportunity for you guys to make extra money for the holidays. This is a great opportunity for your recruits to make extra money for the holidays. And, at this time of year, who couldn't use a few extra bucks in their pocket? So keeping that law in mind when you're talking to your clients. It's a very easy sell. It's a very easy lead-in, and it's a very easy add-on to other services that you're providing. So let's talk about the plan itself. This is what is included in the plan that you can sell your clients. This is our premium estate planning package that ordinarily would sell for $1,000. You guys can sell this to your clients for $500. That's husband and wife. So if your client is married, the spouse can create these same set of documents at no additional charge. And the plan includes their last wills and testaments, revocable living trust, financial powers of attorney, medical powers of attorney, living will or advance directives, and HIPAA authorization. So let's talk about those fees. The plan is $500, and that covers your clients completely for the first year. It gives them full access to their plan for the first 12 months. And basically what that means, it gives them the ability to create all of the documents I just listed and make unlimited changes to those documents during the first year. So if they have a new baby and they need to update their wills and trust to name that baby and to name a guardian for the baby, they can do that at no charge. If they move to a new state and they need to update their documents to be specific and compliant with their new state of residency, they can do that at no charge anytime and as often as they need to during the first 12 months. It also includes unlimited document storage in our Life Vault. That is that secure encrypted environment that I discussed earlier. It's kind of like a safe deposit box in the sky. It's cloud-based for the client. Once they have all of their documents signed and notarized, they can scan those documents and store them in their Life Vault and any other documents that they would like to store. So life insurance policies, tax returns, deeds to their homes, brokerage statements, birth certificates, marriage license, passports, you name it. They can put all of that in their vault and know that they can access that anywhere, anytime with internet access. Now, after the first 12 months, after that first year, beginning in month 13, if the client wants to maintain the ability to have unlimited changes and maintain the ability to keep adding new documents to the vault, the fee goes to $8 a month. So less than $100 a year, they can have the ability to update their documents anywhere, anytime. I think of it kind of like having, in a way, having a lawyer on retainer. You've got this legal document system on retainer for less than $100 a year. You can't get that with any other law firm. You can't get that with any other service. And, when you look at that in perspective to the things that you spend it just in your everyday life, I spend more than $8 when I go to Starbucks in a day. So really think about what that means for your client and the flexibility and convenience that it's giving them to maintain that account. I do want to mention that this $8 a month fee after the first 12 months is optional. It is completely optional. And I will show you all inside the client experience when I walk you through that in a moment, how the client can actually control that fee themselves. So if they don't want to pay it, they have the ability to go right in and turn that auto-renew feature off all on their own, and it's something that they can control. If they do not continue to pay, again, keep in mind that they will not have the ability to make changes to their documents going forward, and they will not have the ability to add new documents to the vault. However, anything that is in their vault at the time that their account goes inactive, they will always have access to, but it will be in read only. It will be a PDF only. They will not have the ability to make changes to those documents. So what happens if down the road they decide that they want to make changes? They've let their account go inactive and now they've decided they want to make changes. We do have a reinstatement policy, and this is what it is. We stair-step that somewhat. So for the first 60 days after their account goes inactive, we give them a grace period where there's no cost to reinstate their account. So they can go in, update their payment information, or reactivate that account during the first 60 days at no cost. From 3 months to 6 months, it's a $79 reinstatement fee, and then from that point forward, they just pick up the $8 a month if they want to keep the account active. Over 6 months of inactivity, it's a $250 reinstatement fee. Again, from that point forward, if they want to keep the account active, they just pay $8 a month to do so. We get lots and lots of questions about our fees and the reinstatement policies, and in particular the $8 a month. So I wanted to walk you guys through those slides one more time and give you the opportunity to see this again. And if you have questions about that, please type them in on the questions screen, and we can take additional questions after the presentation as well. So to get started, for those who have not already done so, you need to download our mobile app, either on your phone or on your tablet. This is compatible with Apple devices and Androids. So your iPhones, your iPads, your Android phones, Android tablets, you would just simply go to your App Store, your Apple App Store, or your Google Play Store and search for NetLaw, N-E-T-L-A-W, all one word. It should be the very first search result that comes up in the search within your App Store. It is a free download, so just click Open to download that app. From there, you're going to create your account and register yourself. That's how we know who to pay when you make a sale. So right below the green sign-in button, you're going to click Create an Account. The registration screen then comes up. From there, you're going to enter in your information, in particular your WFG code, your senior marketing director's email address. If you don't know that, just simply put your own in that field. If you are, in fact, an SMD, again, just put your own email address in that field. Click the little box in between that field and the recruiter email field, and then click Create My Account. From there, you'll see the home screen, and that is your home screen forevermore. You never need to log out of your app. There's absolutely nothing that is at risk by keeping that app logged in. There's nothing anybody can do with that app or any information that they can get about you or your clients if you leave that logged in. The reason I say go ahead and leave it logged in is because so many times we get calls and emails from our advisors that they can't remember their username and password. And that can be pretty frustrating if you're standing in front of a client and you're trying to make a sale right then and there. So, avoid that situation. Just keep yourself logged in at all times. So from your home screen, you have two buttons, Register a Client and Product Information. The Register a Client button, that takes you to the client registration screen, which is super, super easy. You just need 4 simple fields completed, the client's email address, first name, last name, and phone number. Click Register Client. We give them 2 payment options. I mentioned this is a $500 product. They can pay that all at one time, or they can stretch that out for 12 months at $50 a month. They do pay a little bit more, but we send 50% of every dollar that we collect on the plans that you sell back to you through your grid. So if they select the finance option, then every month when they make a $50 payment, we're going to send $25 to your grid. If they decide to pay all of it up front, then we're going to send $250 to the grid. We do that every Thursday. We send a wire transfer to Atlanta, to the commissions department, and then they run it through whatever processes they have and then pay it out to you. From there, you can see the plan details. However, if your client wants to see more about the plan itself, instead of clicking client registration, you can click product information. And from that screen, you'll see a listing of all the documents and services that can even be expanded to tell a client a little bit more about that document. But once they've decided to move forward and they've picked their payment option, you can even collect payment right from your smartphone. We do collect credit card information from the app itself. If the client is uncomfortable handing their credit card to you, just hand them your device and let them type it in themselves. None of that is stored on your app. None of that is even stored at NetLaw. It's against credit card processing rules and regulations for us to do that. All of that runs through a separate third-party credit card processor, so we don't even have that information on file. Once you've clicked Submit or Pay Later, that is one final option. If the client is still hesitant for whatever reason, you can have them click Pay Later, or you can click Pay Later, and they'll just be prompted to pay when they get into their account. I do encourage you to try to close the sale if you can. You guys are masters at this. You're experts at closing sales. I don't need to tell you the importance of, closing the sale while you can and while it's fresh and hot in the client's mind. But also keep in mind you don't get a commission until the client pays, and you don't get those points towards trips and whatnot until the client pays. So just keep that in mind. But from that point, you get the success screen, and that's your indication that everything has gone through successfully. And you will receive an email that you've registered that client, and the client will receive an email, a welcome email with a link that will lead them through the process of getting started. And I'm going to walk you through that actual process through a real live client demonstration. So bear with me one moment. So I'm going to switch screens and flip over to my email. So earlier today, before the webinar, I registered this client, Jerry, and sent him this email through the mobile app that I created, kind of a dummy or a demo WFG agent on my mobile app, and sent Jerry this invitation, registered him. And so this is what the email looks like that your clients will receive. It just talks about, net law, what it is that we're doing, helping them to preserve their estate and peace of mind. And then if they want to get started, all they have to do is click the Click Here button, or they can use this to bookmark their login page. So what I'm going to do is just go on ahead and click here, and that will take us over to the screen where we create a username and password. So, and I'm doing this in real time. This is as if I was a real live client. So I'm going to say Jerry Driver 2015 is my username, and let's see, we'll say that the password is bus driver 5597. In case you guys are wondering why I'm picking that, my father-in-law was named Jerry, and after he retired from AT&T, he started driving a school bus part-time, so that's why I'm using Jerry as my demo client here. So then I'm going to click Agree to the Terms and Conditions, and I'm going to create my account. One of the things that I want to point out to you guys as we go through this process is really the importance of making sure that your clients know that they need to go through the entire getting started process. And this is that process. It doesn't take very long, and we are in the process of actually disabling the box here where you can X out of the getting started process and skip it, because it is so vitally important. This is where we gather all the information about your client and their family and their key people so that we can create their documents more efficiently. So here it's asking, do I also want to create the living trust? And I do, so I'm going to say yes. And this is a little tutorial that we give the client about the process itself. You can X out of that if you want to, but I really think that it's a good idea for clients to go through this before, instead of Xing it out, just to kind of go through the tutorial so it lets them know what to expect. So I'm just going to click on a few of these. So it tells you that the Smart Guide is a tool that leads you through the process of creating your documents, and that you can get there at any time just by clicking the Smart Guide tab. This shows you where to select the documents to create them. You can see this doesn't take very long to get through, and it's really very, very helpful for the client. This just shows them a little bit more about the getting started process while we ask them to go through that. This shows them the different fields and information that we collect about themselves and their family, key people. Why is that important? Those are people that you're going to want to name in different positions within your documents. And then the life documents, that is actually where we actually give a recommendation to the client based on their information as to what they probably want to consider creating. This just shows them how to navigate around the Smart Guide getting started process. And then this tells them that they can select save and exit and come back later anytime through the process of creating documents. So this isn't something that they have to do all in one sitting. Over here on the right, we try to give them lots of information as they go through the process, so we try to point out the helpful tips section. And then we say, all right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is just fill in information about Jerry. So we've got his first name and his last name, but how do we want his name to show up in his legal documents? So, and I'm just kind of making this up as I go along, so bear with me. And phone number, I just put in a bogus phone number just for demonstration purposes. And let's say that he lives at 123 ABC Street in Jefferson County, Louisville, Kentucky. Oops, I have to spell it out. Next, it's asking about family, and yes, Jerry's married. Yes, Jerry has children. We're going to say no, that Jerry doesn't have a pet. The reason we ask about pets is because you'll notice over here to the left, we actually offer the client a pet trust as part of the package at no additional cost. We really don't advertise that much, but it is something, believe it or not, that's utilized quite frequently. So now it's asking us about Jerry's spouse, and so we'll say Dottie, Dottie S. Driver. Let's say her name is Dottie. It's asking for the first name. And she is female. And they do live in at the same address. The reason we ask that, this question here, is your spouse address the same as yours, is because oftentimes husband and wife, especially in this part of the country, may have different states of residency, legal residency for tax purposes. It's very common here in Kentucky for one spouse to be a legal resident of Kentucky, but the other spouse to be a legal resident of Florida, because there's no state income taxes in Florida. We see that quite a bit here. And one thing to note, this system and this one account will create documents for both spouses in different jurisdictions at no additional cost using the same account. So it's very, very useful. So let's move forward. It's going to ask about children, so let's add children here. And we'll say that they have one child, Brooke Driver, and she was born in May. And she's a child of the current marriage. We ask about the relationship of the child for many reasons. Number one, so we can make sure we reference that correctly within the documents, but also from the advisor standpoint, that's very useful information for you guys as well. So if the client chooses to share this with you, if you were not aware that some of the children were maybe stepchildren from second marriage or children from a previous relationship, this would be a good opportunity for you as an advisor to maybe talk about life insurance for that family, so that at the first death, the children from the deceased spouse does not have to wait until the second death to receive their inheritance. So these are useful tools for you guys to know as well as you go through this process. So we'll just say that they have one child, and then we'll move forward here. My advisor, and you'll see here that Jason Green was the demo advisor that I set up to invite Jerry, to register Jerry to join that law. And my information as the advisor is already listed here, and that's really good to note. And then also over here, over to the left, you'll see that it lists the advisor on every single page. So as a client, if I'm going through this process, if I have a question and I want to talk to my advisor, I don't have to X out of this screen, look up their information, their contact information. I can always find it right here, and I can automatically connect with that advisor or call that advisor from the phone number listed at any time through this process if I have questions or need help with anything. So let's move forward. Key people, again, these are the individuals that are going to play a key role within the estate plan for this client. So let's add some of these key people. So we'll say one of them is Tina M. Smith, and she is Jerry's sister-in-law. And you'll see that pre-populates, so it makes it super easy. And she lives in Decatur, Alabama. And then we're going to list, let's say, Julie C. Brown, and she lives, let's say she's a sister, not a sister-in-law, and she lives in Louisville, Kentucky. And I think we'll add, let's see, Ed Driver. He's a brother, and he lives in Seattle. Well, let's say we'll say he lives in Dallas, Texas. And we'll add Mary Murphy. She's an aunt. She lives in Sellersburg, Indiana. You'll notice that we're also asking for email addresses. I'm not going to populate those right now just for the sake of time. Let's see. Oh, she's an aunt. And we'll leave it at 4 just for the sake of time. Most people name anywhere between 4 to 8 people when they list out their key people. And here is where we're going to ask some questions about their particular situation. So if you became seriously ill, would you want to give someone the ability to make medical decisions on your behalf if you're unable to do so? And yes, I do. Do you want someone to be able to access your medical information and speak on your behalf in case you're unable to do so? And yes, I do. End-of-life decisions. Do I want to declare whether or not I want to be kept alive artificially or allowed to die naturally? Yes, I do. Do I want to ease the burden of dealing with end-of-life decisions on my family? Yes, I would like to ease their burden. And do I want to make sure that doctors are required to respect my wishes with regards to end-of-life decisions? And absolutely I do. So I'm going to click all of those boxes. And providing for my family and myself while I'm alive. Do I want to give somebody the ability to handle my financial affairs on my behalf? Yes. Do I want the peace of mind that knowing that my financial affairs will always be under control regardless of my health or mental capacity? Absolutely. If I'm going abroad, do I want to make sure somebody can manage my business affairs while I'm gone? And yeah, I actually am going abroad after the first of the year, so I'll click yes. So next. Providing for my family after I'm gone. Do I want to be the one to decide who will get my property? Absolutely. Do I want to be the one to decide who will raise my children? Absolutely. Do I want to reduce the cost and burden of probate on my family? You bet I do. I want my heirs to receive their property as quickly as possible. However, I do want to protect my children's inheritance from misuse. And I want the distribution of my assets to remain private. So I want all of those things. Sounds like a pretty great package to me. And so here you can see just based on everything that I selected is the recommendation that NetLaw is giving me that I need to create all of these documents. So I'm going to click Finish, and that's what lets me know that I have finished the Getting Started process. And what happens now is this recommendations document is going to be generated, and it's going to populate in my vault. That takes just a few minutes to happen. And keep in mind that this is real time. We're right in the middle of a real live client account. And here is my vault, and here are the recommendations that was provided for me by NetLaw. I can download that in a Word document, and that will come up, and I can read through that at any time. Now, at this point, if I am ready to go back and create my documents, what I do is simply go over here to Smart Guide and click Smart Guide, which I will do now. And I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a document. Actually, it's a little tedious, but I'll go on ahead and do it just so you guys can see the ins and outs of this. We may run a little bit long today, so I apologize for that. But I'm going to click on Will with Living Trust. So when we click this link here, that actually takes us through the process of creating both the will and the living trust at one time. One other thing I want to point out before I move forward with that is how do you navigate this between husband and wife? So here you see we're creating a document for Jerry. When his wife, Dottie, gets ready to create her documents, they will just simply click on this download, this drop-down button, and then select her name, and then it'll switch over to her documents. But anything that Jerry has entered that is common between the two of them, like their address, their children, things like that, even the key people, will be populated when she goes through, so she doesn't have to duplicate that data entry, but she'll have the ability to make changes and customize her information as she wishes. So let's just go ahead and create a will and living trust for Jerry.
Hey, Charles, let me jump in real quick.
Sure.
You know, one of the issues that we have, unfortunately, when people don't go through the getting started process as completely as you did, the living trust does not get added to their account. I get that call a lot, and it's because it's very easy to skip over that question. And so if you had not added that trust, where your cursor is there where it says will and living trust would read last will and testament. It's actually a very easy fix if your client does not add that living trust into the system when they're going through the getting started process. That is included at no additional cost through the plan that we provide for WFG Associates. So in the event that the trust is not added, you can do so under the Accounts tab at the top of the page. I'm not going to walk you through it now because you wouldn't be able to see it anymore since you've already added it, but you can go to the Accounts tab, you can click on View Plans. Actually, go ahead and click Accounts. You can go to that tab, you can click on View Plans there on the left, and if the trust has not been added, you can scroll down to the bottom of that page and click a green button to add a living trust. So it's very easy to add if someone missed it in the getting started process. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Great, thanks, Blake. So going back to the SMART Guide, let's click on Will with Living Trust and walk through that process. I want to point out that every document at the beginning of the SMART Guide process for each document is a little short video that your clients can click on and watch that tells a little bit more about the document that they're about to create. I'll just skip right over that, but you all are welcome to look at that at your leisure. And I actually hate those videos because it's me in the videos. So here we go. Let's get started. So what we're doing now is in the beginning here, we're walking the clients through the process of creating their will and naming their executors. One thing that I want to point out to everyone is that we do offer, again, lots of help information along the way. So here we're asking about executors. Over to the right under helpful tips, we've got all kinds of QA about executors that the client can click on to look at if they have questions about that. We also have our help screen here that they can go to and find out more about the last will and testament and all of the positions and information about the last will and testament, so they have the ability to look at all of that as well. But I just wanted to point out that extra help. We also have within the product and the system itself, QA, so they can chat with somebody right in the office. So I'll even just do that for a second, let you see that here. So, hi there. This is a testy chat. And let's see. In a moment, we'll get a response, hopefully, from our live support. I'm going to minimize that. And while we're waiting on that, I want to point out that as the client is going through the process to create their will, everyone that they listed when they were going through the getting started process, here they are populated on this drop-down. So the system is asking the client, who do you want to name as your executor? Well, you know, at this point, it's just a very simple point and click on behalf of the client. So we're just going to name Jerry's spouse, Dottie, as the executor. And let's go over here and see what kind of response we got. Let's see. Did we get a response? Yep, we got a response from Joe. I'm just going to say, thanks, Joe. This is Charles C. on a live demo. Good job. So you can see it's pretty quick to get a response when we have someone online. So if you have questions while your clients are going through the process, if they have questions, and that chat button is eliminated, that means we have an operator online at that moment and they can talk in real time with somebody right here in our office. So here we've selected Dottie as the initial executor of Jerry's last will and testament. And next it's going to ask if we want to name any alternate or successor executors for Jerry's last will. And you know, I think, and you can do either one person or you can pick multiple people, or you can say no, I don't want to name anyone at all. But here, why don't we just name one person as the backup executor, and we'll do Tina as the backup executor.
Charles, I'm going to jump in again real quickly here.
Sure.
And you can keep it on the same screen. I want everybody to note that this system is not where you fill in blanks, where you physically type information into blanks, click on that window to select that guardianship, and everybody's going to see a drop down of all of the names that Charles had put in when she answered the questions about her family and entered people in the key people section. That's why it's very important that you and your clients complete that getting started process first, because everybody that you put into that system, they're going to show up as options for you when you select them to fill those fields.
Correct. A lot of times we get questions about, well, I'm inside the last will and testament, but it's not letting me enter in anybody's name. Well, that's because they didn't go through the getting started process. So good point there, Blake. Thanks for pointing that out. So here's guardians. Let's say we want Tina to be the initial guardian, and we're going to name one person as the alternate guardian in case Tina can't serve as guardian. I'm going to click next. And trustees. So keep in mind we're also doing the living trust, the revocable living trust, along with the will. So, and basically when your clients create a revocable living trust, the client himself or herself, or if it's a joint trust, which is being released here in a couple of weeks, both husband and wife will be co-trustees of their own trust during their lifetime. So what it's asking here is, who do you want to name as a successor trustee? And in this example, we're creating an individual living trust, not a joint living trust. So Jerry's going to be the initial trustee of his own trust during his lifetime. And who does he want to be the successor trustee if he becomes disabled, incapacitated, or upon his death? So typically, most clients select their spouse as the initial successor. And then we're going to say, do you want to name a second successor? And so let's just say yes. And then we'll name Jerry's brother, Ed, as the successor trustee and move on. Future trustees. What this is saying is, would you like for your children, once they become a certain age, or a beneficiary, once they become a certain age, to become the trustee of their own separate trust within your living trust? And most people do that. You don't have to, but we'll just say yes. So in this example, Jerry and Dottie have a minor daughter, Brooke. And what this is saying is once Brooke reaches a certain age, and I think it defaults to age 35, she can become the trustee of her own trust if she wants to. So we're going to say yes to that and move forward. Specific bequest. We get lots of questions about specific bequest. And you can list as many as you like. You can get as detailed as you like. So let's say yes, I do want to do some specific bequest. And I am going to leave to, charity, because you can do an individual or charity. And I'm going to leave to the Red Cross in Louisville. I'm going to leave them a particular dollar amount, and I want to leave them $10,000. And I want that to happen only if my spouse has predeceased me. I can do it regardless of whether my spouse is living or not, or only if my spouse has predeceased me, and that's just a personal choice. Next, we can add another bequest, and let's say that Jerry wants to leave to his brother Ed his coin collection. And he wants to do that regardless of whether his spouse is living, because, Dottie doesn't really care about those coins anyway, so you might as well go ahead and give them to Ed. And let's see, and you can see here that charity lists in this column, individual bequest list in this column. You can tell that the charity got a dollar amount and Ed got an item. I can edit that if I want to, or I can completely remove it if I want to. And let's see here, I'm going to add one more bequest, and I'm going to do that to Tina, and it's going to be a dollar amount, and I'm going to give her $25,000. And I only want that if my spouse has predeceased me. And let's move on. Remaining property. So anything that I have not left in a specific bequest, how do I want those assets to pass? And these are the options that we give the client. Typically in a marriage situation where everything is, hunky-dory and no problems whatsoever, most married couples click all to spouse if surviving, if not to my children in equal shares. But there are other options here as well. You can just leave to your children in equal shares, or you can list out individual assets to individual people or charities if you want to. But I'm just going to click the top option here and move on. Children shares. So since I have listed children for Jerry and Dottie, it's going to ask, do I want to omit my child from my estate plan? Sometimes parents want to do that. Maybe they have a child with substance abuse, or maybe they have a special needs child and they already have a separate trust set up for that child, and if they had by leaving something to that child under their will might jeopardize some benefits that child is already receiving. So there's a number of reasons why a client might want to omit a child from their will or trust, but here we're just going to say no. And you want that child's inheritance going to be held in a trust. And since Jerry and Dottie's child is only 9 years old, yes, we want to do that. We don't want her turning 18 and get her entire inheritance in one big lump. So let's move ahead. And the trust for children. So how do I want that held and how do I want that distributed for Brooke's benefit? And we give several options here. What I'm going to choose is just 1/3 at age 25, 1/2 at age 30, and then the balance at age 35. But I could choose any of those options if I wanted to. And click next. And ultimate disposition, basically what this means is upon your death, if your spouse isn't living, you don't have children living, you don't have grandchildren living or great-grandchildren living, how do you want your assets distributed? And you can get into a kind of a never-ending discussion about what ifs if you want to, or you can just keep it super easy and say all to my heirs at law, or 50% to my heirs at law and 50% to my spouse's heirs at law. And what an heir at law means is more distant blood relatives. So I just mentioned that my spouse isn't living, my children aren't living, I don't have any grandchildren or great-grandchildren living. So that would go to parents, brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, cousins, that lineal line of descendants. So that's what an heir at law is. Or I can just click individuals or charities and just specifically say I want 1/3 of my estate to go to this charity, I want 10% to go here, I want this piece of property to go here. You can get very detailed there. But for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to say 50% to my spouse's heirs at law, respectively. In college savings. Since Jerry and Dottie, when they were going through the getting started process, they indicated that they had a minor child, we're going to ask them if they would like to have help funding their child's education, or do they feel like they're on track to fund their child's education. These are those product-related questions that you guys have heard me talk about in my previous webinars and in different training sessions that you may have been in. So here I'm going to say, I really don't know that I am on track to fund her education. And then it's going to ask me, would you like an analysis of your options for growing those funds to prepare your child, your child's savings account for their education? And I think I do. So since I've said yes, NetLaw is going to send Jason Green, the advisor that sold me the NetLaw account, an email. So he knows that I've got questions about college savings, and he can reach out to me to help me with that. The next question I'm going to ask, is a product-related question that's asked, is with regard to my retirement savings. And you can see various questions here that basically says, do you know the answer to, what return would you have to earn on your savings and investment for you to retire at your current standard of living? What is the minimum amount of money you need to be putting away each year to enjoy your present lifestyle? How long will you have to work before you can retire and enjoy your present standard of living? How much will you have to reduce your present standard of living to make your money last to your life expectancy? Well, I don't know the answers to that, so I'm going to click no. And then it's going to ask me, would you like an analysis of your current retirement planning? Absolutely, I would like that. And again, an email goes to Jason Green, the advisor that sold me this NetLaw plan. Investment strategy. Are you and your spouse satisfied or dissatisfied with your overall investment strategy? And I really don't know, so I'll just say yes. And yes, I would like to talk to an advisor about that. And this lets me know that I have completed the process for creating my will and living trust. So I'm going to click Finish. And what's happening now, and this takes a little bit longer, because NetLaw is not a form system. This is not a fill-in-the-blank form system. What we've done is we've taken all of the responses that I've just entered for Jerry, and we are compiling this document very custom for Jerry based on the responses and the information that he provided to us. So every document that is created for every client is unique and different for that client. It is not a fill-in-the-blank form system. This is the same drafting software that we use in the private practice at Hartgrove Madden. This is the same drafting software that our network attorneys use in their practice. So that's very, very important for you guys to know. And now those documents are complete, and here they are in the vault. So they automatically open up the vault and show you that the documents are listed here in the vault. And every document comes with execution instructions, and basically those are signing instructions. So that tells the client exactly what they need to do to properly sign this document, how many witnesses are needed, who can qualify as a witness, and whether or not that document needs to be notarized. Here is the document itself. That's the recommendations document that they created after the getting started process. Here are the revocable living trust signing instructions, execution instructions. Here are the funding instructions for the trust if they want to fund that trust during their lifetime. And here is the trust itself. So I'm going to open up a couple of these and just let you see what this looks like. Let me open up the will here. So I click download. That opens up in Word. And let me go right over here and click that tab. And what you will see is just a very typical will for a resident of the state of Kentucky. Let me open this up a little bit so you guys can see it. So here we say that Jerry's debts are paid from the residuary estate, and here are some specific bequests. And you'll note that specific bequests of items show up in the will. Specific bequests of money or percentages show up in the trust. So you'll note that I had 3 specific bequests when I went through the process to create these documents, and one of them was for an item, the coin collection, to the brother. And so here is that bequest of the coin collection to the brother. All of the rest of the tangible personal property, that is anything that you can pick up and move. So clothing, jewelry, furniture, any kind of collectibles, that's tangible personal property. What we say here is if your state recognizes a handwritten memorandum, and there is a handwritten memorandum by the person that has created this will that disposes of those assets, the will is to recognize that handwritten memorandum. And if not, everything else will then just go to the wife if she's living, and if not, to the children that survive Jerry equally. Then we say here, this is the pour-over provision. So if you've heard of a pour-over will, this is a pour-over will. So, and this is the pour-over provision. Basically, we're saying everything else outside of those specific bequests and tangible personal property, so the residue of the estate, the rest, residue, and remainder of the property, and that's that language right here, gets distributed over, gets poured over to the Jerry F. Driver Revocable Living Trust. So it moves all of those assets into the trust. And it's important to point out, a lot of times people will say, well, do I need to create the will if I create a trust? You really do, because even if you create the trust and you fund it today with all of your individually owned assets, as life goes on and you continue to buy things, and you buy a car and you forget to put it in your trust, or you buy something else and you forget to put it in your trust, this will is going to trigger the distribution of those assets over to your trust at your death. So what this does is ensure that everything that you have is going to wind up in that trust eventually. Either you put it there during your lifetime, or the trust pours it over into that trust at your death. So I think it's good to have both of those documents, and they really work well together. So here is the ultimate distribution. That's the provision that if, nobody is living, your spouse, your children, grandchildren, nobody's living, how do your assets go? This says 1/2 to my heirs at law, 1/2 to my wife's heirs at law. Here's the appointment of executor. The wife, Dottie, serves first. If she can't, then the sister-in-law, Tina. Just very standard boilerplate executor provisions. Here are the guardianship provisions. So first we name Tina as guardian, and if she is unable or unwilling to serve, then we name Julie. Simultaneous death, that just basically states that if the husband and wife die in a common accident and there's no way to really determine the order of death. Here in the husband's document, we say that the wife should be deemed to have survived, but I want to point out in the wife's document, we say that the husband should have deemed to survive. So we're pointing in both directions. And the reason that we do that is so that the lawyers and the accountants that are working with the family after the deaths, they have the flexibility to take a look at the assets in both spouses' names and see if there is a tax advantage for one of the spouses to have been deemed to have died first, and that gives them the ability to make that decision at that time. So that's why we put the provisions in the will in that manner. Payment of taxes, it's just saying if there's any taxes due to pay that out of the trust. Miscellaneous provisions is where we identify children, and so on and so forth, and this is where the client actually signs. So I wanted to show you how that document generates, and I'll open up the trust as well. I won't go through all of that in detail as I did the will, but want to get a good idea for you all of what this process looks like and what the documents look like. So I'm going to open this up here. Let me expand it so you can see. So this is just the revocable living trust. Jerry is the trustee during his lifetime. We title the trust, and that's important because that's in the funding instructions, so you know exactly how to retitle assets. We identify the beneficiaries, and let me move ahead so you can see some of the specific bequests. Here we go. So here's the $10,000 that I wanted to leave to the Red Cross, and the $25,000 I wanted to leave to Tina Smith. I'm going to close out of that. And the vault here, as I've mentioned many times, is a great place for you all to help the client and to serve them. So once they get these documents signed, or if you want to offer to have them come into your office and get them signed, maybe you have a notary in your office and other people that can serve as witnesses, that's a really good offer for you to make, because then you can offer as well to scan those documents once they're signed and upload them into the client's file. So you just, if you don't have a scanner, go out and buy one. They're not that expensive, but you just click upload file, find where you've saved the PDF on the computer, and upload it into the vault. And I would also recommend that you tell your clients, if they want to do that, if they want to bring their documents in and sign them in your office and have you scan them, that they should go ahead and bring anything else that they want to have scanned and loaded into their vault, and you'll do that for them. I'm sure you would be happy to scan their old life insurance policies and put them in the vault for them. And I'm sure you would be happy to scan those old IRA statements and scan those and put them into the vault, and brokerage statements and tax returns and all of that information. I bet you guys would be thrilled to do that, because that's important information for you. That's a great opportunity for you to then offer free reviews of those accounts and policies, and perhaps place some products and services with that family, maybe even sooner than you would have otherwise, if at all. If they decide to do that, using the vault is so easy. You know, they can organize this vault in any manner they want to by, you know, adding a folder. Let's say that they did bring in insurance policies. So you would just, you know, label that folder insurance policies, and then once that folder is created, you just open it up, click upload file, and that's where the copies of those policies would go. You know, you can add as many different folders as you'd like. I typically like to put in tax information, so I'm going to create a 2015 tax folder so that I can add my, you know, charitable receipts and donations and whatnot, and scan those and put them up in my folder. So this is a really, really good tool for you and for your clients. I've mentioned many times our attorney network, and this is how the clients access that attorney network, just by clicking on the attorney tab. From here, it's going to default to the particular client, in this case Jerry, his state of residency. So here is Kentucky, and it's going to pull up all of these attorneys for the state of Kentucky in a moment. Here we go. And you can actually click on each one and take a look at their profile. So I'll just click on Kelly, and we actually give the client a Google map to Kelly's office with her phone number and email address. I can click View Profile and see everything about Kelly. You know, how long has she been practicing? You know, does she have other areas of expertise? You know, where did she go to school? And from here, if I want to connect with her, let's say that I've got more advanced planning needs. Maybe, you know, in my fantasy life, I have $20 million. So I'm over the threshold for estate tax exemptions, and I need to talk to an attorney about some tax planning. I can connect with Kelly by clicking this button here, and I can select which documents, if any, I want to share with her. So I'm going to send her my will and my trust. And, you know, if I had anything in my tax folder, I might would want to send that to her too. And here I just want to say I need to discuss tax planning, or I could put anything there, like I have a special needs child, or I just want a consultation, or I would like to have you review these documents. And here it's showing who the advisor was that referred me. And by clicking this button here, I can say, yes, I want my advisor to participate in this process. So I want my advisor to be kept in the loop with regard to any planning that we're doing. So if I end up engaging Kelly for an insurance trust, for example, Jason's going to know that. So if he is working on an insurance policy for me, he's going to be able to reach right out to my attorney and say, hey, once you get that set up, I'm going to need the name of the insurance trust, the trustee, and the tax ID number before I submit this policy application. So again, that's that team approach that we talked about when I started this webinar, and I was talking about why Hargrove Madden as a law firm created, you know, this system. And this is part of that, so that we could have that encrypted, secure environment to collaborate and communicate with the client and the advisor with the attorney. So I could send this request, and an email would go to Kelly alerting her to a new client engagement request. I'm not going to do that because this is a demo account, so I'm going to click cancel. But once Kelly got that and she opened it up and looked at the information, she could click accept engagement, and then an email will come back to me as the client and to the advisor, since I clicked yes, I want my advisor to be kept in the loop, to let us know that that engagement has been accepted, that she's reviewing my information, and she will reach out to me to schedule an appointment. So it's super, super user-friendly.
Hey, Charlesy.
Yes.
A couple things real quick I want to cover while you're in the product. Two questions that I had that are both really good questions, and I get them pretty frequently. Number one is, how long does it take to complete the net law process? And that really kind of depends. You know, the will and trust that Charlesy created there is certainly the longest and most complex of the documents. A lot of them are one-pagers, you know, like a HIPAA authorization. You're basically just giving, you know, privacy authorization to one person and setting up a backup. So those only take just a matter of a minute to complete that entire form. I will give you, as agents and your clients, a piece of advice. It is always a good idea to take some time and make your decisions beforehand. Sit down at the kitchen table with a pad of paper and decide, okay, who am I going to make the guardian of my child? Who am I going to make my executor? Do I have any specific items that I'm going to pass on to friends or family members that I want to make a specific bequest within the will? You know, if you take the time and, you know, just take a few minutes and sit down and make those decisions, I think that you'll find that the entire process should only take 30 to 40 minutes from start to finish. And the other thing I wanted you to do while you are in the system is, I had a question about how does somebody make an edit to a document. Say they've completed a document and then they've decided they need to change that document. So do me a favor, let's go back into the will. And let's change that coin collection to 1957 Chevy.
Okay.
And we'll show how easy it is to make those changes and make those updates. Basically, you just hit the previous button until you get back to the field that you want to change it, and then hit
property.
Yeah, you can up at the top, yeah.
And then click next. And here is the item, and we're going to make that a 57 Chevy, you said?
Sure, that's a nice car. I wish I had one.
And ta-da, that's it. And then
Now
you
you've
just
made that
continue
change.
to go next. Keep continuing on till you get to the finished button. You kind of have to click forward through the next fields until you get to the spot where it says finish. And then that is when it generates a new version, and they are versioned in the vault. And I'll show you what that looks like.
Yeah, and when she pulls that document up, everybody will be able to see where now the document is going to represent that classic car instead of a coin collection. So it's very, very simple to make changes. And that kind of goes back to the discussion we had about that $8 monthly access fee. That's what that access fee gives you, is the ability to go in at any time and make changes to your documents. It's very important to keep that live.
It'll just take a minute for this to populate. And one thing to note, once you make a change and you click all the way through to the Finish button and click Finish, that document needs to be printed and signed again. So here you'll see that we have version 1.1, which is the new version. If I wanted to go back to the old version, I could do so. But I am going to click Download here. Oh, wait, that's execution instructions. Here we go. I'm going to click Download and open this up so you can see the change in that specific bequest. And you can see here that Jerry is now getting a 1957 Chevy instead of a coin collection. So good point, Blake. Let's see, what else? Okay, here under the Accounts tab, this is where I want to show you all, again, if your clients are, for whatever reason, worried about that $8, and I would really try to, talk to them about the need for that rather than saying, oh, it's only $8. And you don't have to pay it if you don't want to, but talk to them about the need for keeping that active. If you go to see an attorney, and pay for this estate plan. I mean, this estate plan, this package at the Hargrove Madden firm would cost $3,000 to $3,500. $8 a month, that would take you over 30 years to equal that fee. So it's really not an unreasonable fee. And when you think about things that happen throughout your lifetime, you're going to come out better financially by paying the $8 than going back to a lawyer or going back and reactivating your account, at $250 potentially every time you want to make a change. But, that is something that people sometimes, are worried about. So if they want to make sure that they're not hit with that reoccurring fee, all they have to do is go to their Accounts tab and then go to Current Plan. And right here where it says Auto Renew, just click No. And basically that means that they're not going to start getting hit with the $8 a month beginning in month 13. So that's what that does. Blake, are you clicking that?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Well,
I also wanted to mention, actually, Nikki Beasley had a great question on what I had mentioned about taking some time to make those decisions beforehand. She asked if we had a document that we could share with clients to kind of, give them an idea of the questions that they should be answering before they get started in the process.
Yeah, actually we do. It's the client brochure is being updated to have some of those questions within the client brochure itself.
Right, and that was going to be my suggestion. We do have a basic document, but it's not very in-depth. I would recommend, Nikki, that for the time being, just be patient with us because we are going to have a more in-depth option for that as the new brochure comes out.
Right. I also want to point out this refer a friend option. You guys may remember as we were going through the key people section, I'll just pull that up again and let you see what that looks like, that we ask for this email address. If we put that email address in there, it will ask us if we want to allow Tina to have the same opportunity to create her documents and protect her family just like Jerry has done, and that she will even be able to do that at the same discount that Jason offered Jerry. So for $500 she can create these same documents to protect herself and her family. But if there's individuals in addition to these key people that Jerry or Dottie would like to extend this offer to, they can click on Refer a Friend. And from there, just fill in this information, and it sends them that same email that Jerry got when his advisor registered him. And that email is tied to Jason, this original advisor that sold Jerry that plan, so that if any of these key people or any of the friends that they refer NetLaw, if they end up buying the NetLaw plan, Jason gets the commission for those plans. Also, all of those individuals get asked those product-related questions that you saw earlier, and if any of them answer yes, they need help with any of those things, Jason gets those product-related emails as well. So this is a great way to expand your client network and be able to offer services and clients to people that you may have never otherwise had the opportunity to meet with. So, you know, from that point, I think that's all I wanted to point out. Blake, is there anything that I've missed that you want me to feature?
Sorry, I was muted. You know, I don't think so. I think you did a fantastic job, and what I really want everybody to take away from today's presentation is how user-friendly and simple this product really is. It's almost impossible to mess up. As long as you know, just have your clients take advantage of the materials that are available to them, the pop-up dialog boxes, the little question pop-ups that show up in the right margin when you start a document, have them watch the videos, and yes, you look great in the videos.
He has to say that. He's married to me.
Just have them watch the videos, have them read the dialog boxes. I think that, you know, that you and your clients are going to find it's very, very simple to go through this. Again, it's almost impossible to mess up if you just follow the steps. I'm going to let you, we have run a little bit long today, so we'll probably cut our Q&A a little short, but you may or may not be able to answer this for Lisa Sarkisian. She asked about the financial power of attorney. What does it cover? Is it similar to a conservatorship in the state of Mississippi? I don't know if you can touch on that briefly.
Yeah, you know, Lisa, I'm sorry, I'm not, believe it or not, I don't have quick recall for the different laws in the 50 different states. So I can't really speak to conservatorship in the state of Mississippi. I can tell you that the financial power of attorney is, it has a lot of broad powers in it. And what I would recommend that you do is if you have questions about that, register yourself as a client. And if you want to see what that power of attorney looks like in the state of Mississippi, you can go into account, and I'm going to show you where you can find the sample documents. Go into account, and then go into, I think it's current plan, no, view plans. And here you can actually see a PDF of sample documents just by clicking on that little link there. And it'll pull it up, and it'll show you exactly what that document looks like for your state and what are the powers that are enumerated in that document. So hopefully that will help. What other questions do we have, Blake?
You know, not too many questions today. I was just going to go over a couple of things really quickly. I think that Mark and I have done a pretty good job of keeping up with the questions. Don't have anything hanging out there that's too obvious. Did want to mention, because Dennis Mallon is on the webinar today, you know, not everybody has a Android or iPhone, and Dennis has a Windows-based phone, and unfortunately we don't support that with our mobile app. So Dennis is one of our concierge agents, which means that what we do is we set up an account for those agents that don't have a compatible phone for our mobile app, and then when they have a client that they need to register, they just reach out to us. One of us logs into their account on our own mobile device and takes care of that registration. So just today, Dennis actually called me. He's one of our concierge agents, logged into his account and registered one of his clients. So we'll do our best to take care of you. Just want to let everybody know that that is an available service while we're working on a web-based registration tool at least we have the concierge service in place so that we can try to get you taken care of there.
Blake, I'm going to answer Felino's question. He asked, when does one apply for the trust social security number? And what he's speaking of is a tax identification number for the trust.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind that this trust is what's called a grantor trust, which means for tax purposes during the client's lifetime, it does not exist for tax purposes. So it maintains the client's own social security number. Once the client passes away, that's when the trust becomes non-grantor, and that's when a tax identification number would need to be applied for. So you don't apply for a separate tax ID number for the trust during the lifetime of the client. It maintains their own tax ID number, which is great because that means that no separate tax returns need to be filed. Another question, Jonathan Guzman asked, the spouse is free. Does the spouse need to create his or her own account to do the steps? No. And Blake, I'll let you talk about that, but that's what I was illustrating here. So if you're looking at the SMART guide, and we were creating documents for Jerry, but then I clicked the drop down and selected the spouse Dottie, and then just opened up the SMART guide to create her documents. And basically that just leads her through the process as well.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think when Mark answered you, I think he meant to say the wife would create her own documents. The husband and wife both share the same account.
Correct.
Couple of things real quickly, and then we'll get going. I did have on my notes to talk about marketing materials, and since Natran asked about that, you can go to our website. I'm going to put that. Do you have that page by any chance?
What was that?
Answer.
I'm sorry, are you speaking to me?
I was, but I was going to have you put up the page with the Step 6 website, but I'm just going to type it in and answer or send it to everybody. We do have some marketing materials available on the Step 6 website. It's www.netlawinc.com/step6. You can show your clients about a 3-minute promotional video for NetLaw. You can download a client brochure. It is in a PDF form, so you can send it in an email, or you can print as many as you like. And I think if you haven't gone there yet, please visit the Step 6 site. There's a lot of great information there for you as an agent. There's a very robust Q&A section and some good materials that will help you along the way as well. Had a question about what times are we available. Our live customer support is open from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is Eastern time. So for you West Coasters, that's 4 p.m. But we're there from 8:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern with live support, and usually we have somebody that mans chat after hours. So we'll do our best to take care of you. If none of us is there to answer your phone call, then just please leave us a message. There has not been one instance since NetLaw has been in operation that we have not returned a phone call. If someone leaves us a message, they're going to get a phone call back. And hopefully we can take care of your questions.
All right. Well, thanks, Blake, and thanks, everybody, for joining us today. Hopefully you got a lot out of this session. This, as well as our other webinars, are recorded, and we will have it posted up on our website probably within 48 hours. And you can access those by going to the NetLaw website. That's netlawinc.com/step6. And clicking on where it says webinar here is where you can find previous webinars. And I think there's even the PowerPoint slides for a sample client presentation on here as well. I did a sample client presentation on a webinar a few weeks ago and also made those PowerPoint slides available. So if you guys are presenting to groups of clients, feel free to download that PowerPoint and put your name and picture on it and make it your own. I have no pride of ownership on that, so feel free to use it all you want. But I thank you guys for joining us. You are awesome, and we love hearing from you. We'll have our next regular webinar next Wednesday, and we'll announce what that topic will be probably the day before. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for everyone for taking some time out of your day. I think this was a great presentation that you did today, Charles. It's really nice to give everybody a view inside the product and let them see how easy it is. That's all I've got. Thanks, everybody.
All right, have a great week. Bye.